Can this $140 trigger make my AR faster and more accurate? Today we're going to find out. So this is the Rave 140 from Rise Triggers. Just picked it up from Palmetto State Armory. And like I said, it's $140, so relatively affordable when it comes to aftermarket triggers. But before we get into this and the look and feel and the performance, we have to set our baseline with the stock trigger here in my Daniel Defense DD M4 V7. And just to start off, I don't really like this trigger. It's pretty spongy, it feels pretty heavy, and there's a lot of take up. So I'm hoping that this trigger right here will kind of solve those issues that I've been facing. It says right here 3.5 pound trigger pull, where I'm assuming this one is probably 5+. So to get our baseline, we are going to shoot a 5-shot group at 50 yards, and then we're going to shoot a bill drill, so 6 shots as fast as I can. And I actually just picked up this shot timer here, which I've seen a bunch of people use on YouTube, but I've never actually used one or even seen one myself. So I'm really excited to play around with this. I might have to figure it out and learn it a little bit, but I've never done this kind of shooting for time or anything like that. So I'm actually excited, just as much for this and to use this as I am this trigger. So that's going to be fun to use, and it'll be cool to compare the differences in these two triggers. So first up, we're just going to load this up and shoot 5 rounds here at 50 yards and see what kind of group we get. Okay, so we've got a bench set up here, and then I've got a 1 to 6 power scope dialed into 6. So not a ton of magnification, and the reticle on this is not super fine. It's definitely not made for precision shooting. Not that 50 yards is necessarily precision shooting, but we are going for the tightest group that we can get to be able to show an accurate comparison of both triggers. So let's see what we can do. 5 shots. From what I can see back here, it looks like all 5 are in that 1 inch by 1 inch square. So group wise, it is very accurate at this distance. I will say though that the trigger has quite a bit of take up. You can see right here, quite a bit of take up, and then once you get to the wall, it stacks up pretty heavy, and it's just not the crispest trigger pull ever. And then you can see the reset here, decent bit of movement until it pops back. So I'm hoping that this other trigger that I'm going to throw in here is a little bit crisper, a little bit lighter, and at least as accurate. I'm hoping so, because that's definitely a pretty good group. So now we are going to measure our speed for the bill drill, so 6 shots, and see what the speed is on the stock trigger. All right, so we got the target set up at roughly 7 yards. Got the shot timer here, which I've only messed with a couple times, so hopefully I've got it set up right and it tracks everything the way that I need it. So yeah, I guess without further ado, let's see what I can do for time with this stock trigger. I believe it's 2.11 seconds. I honestly have literally no clue if that is any good or not. And they are all in the A zone, I believe. So let's do another one. So 2.11 for that first one. Let's do another 6 shots here and see what we get for time on that one. And if it's close, if I think that's where it should be, then we will go ahead and start swapping over to that other trigger. So that one was 1.88, and my first shot was quite a bit faster, like 0.2 of a second faster, maybe even 0.3. So I mean, a lot of this has to do for sure with just the fact that I've not done this drill a ton. So It's probably a touch unfair because the more that I shoot today, I think, you know, I'll get warmed up and I'll get faster, and I probably end up, you know, will shoot faster with that Rave trigger. But, you know, still, it's like I can definitely feel in this trigger how heavy the pull is. So all of them in the A zone except for, or actually no, maybe most of them are on the edge there. Okay, so 2.11 for the first one, 1.88 for the second one. So now it's time to swap the trigger over to the Rave and go back out to 50 yards, shoot another group, and see how it does. All right, so this is what the trigger looks like right here. It's drop-in, completely housed, so all the springs are contained. All the, you know, the hammer and the sears all contained here, which is super cool. So it makes it very, very easy to drop it into a lower right here, as compared to, you know, a stock trigger where you've got, you know, 3 different parts here, and all of these springs are, you know, not contained like this one right here. So, you know, we can't show you how to drop this into the gun here because of YouTube's restrictions, but we're gonna place this trigger in right here and then get to shooting. All right, so that was super simple to swap this trigger over, or to, you know, drop this trigger in. All you need is a Torx wrench to take the bolt out to remove the grip, and the spring there and the detent for your safety. An Allen wrench to take the safety off here, and then a punch set to punch out these 2 pins, take out the old trigger, and then drop this one right in, throw these 2 pins back in, and, you know, reassemble the rifle. So super simple, you know, just did it right out here. You don't need a bunch of tools, you don't need a gun vise or anything like that. So, you know, right off the bat, very pleased with how easy that was to install. And then, you know, the trigger is way more crisp. You can see right here, no take up, very, very crisp. And too, I guess I haven't talked about this, but it's the flat trigger face, which in my opinion just looks sick. You know, does that actually change the performance? I have no idea, probably not, but it does look really cool. So now we are going to shoot at 50 yards, shoot another group of 5, and see how it compares to the stock trigger. All right, so there is 5. I don't think it is good, but it felt 10 times better. So yeah, I don't know. The group looked a little bit more open compared to that first one there. I don't completely know why that is, but it's definitely not as good. So, but the feeling is super good, and I think when we shoot this bill drill, it's going to be quite a bit faster. So accuracy, I'm not sure. I'd definitely have to spend some more time behind the gun, behind this trigger. You know, those are literally the first 5 shots out of this trigger. So let's I'm gonna walk down there, grab the target, and compare them. All right, stock trigger and then the Rise trigger right here. So those are 4 shots almost touching, and then looks like I had 1 flyer here. And then this one, you know, definitely not that good. That's probably maybe just over 2-inch group at 50 yards. So I mean, not even close to as good as this. I don't know exactly why. You know, is it just the trigger? Was it? I don't think it was me. You know, as you see here, I'm very happy with that group. They all broke well. This one, the shots all broke with the crosshair right on, you know, this dot here, or this piece of tape. So accuracy-wise, stock trigger wins by far, like not even close. So, you know, as I shoot this trigger more, I'm curious if, you know, that is actually the groups that I'll get out of it, or if I can tighten it up. I'm honestly, I'm not sure there. But winner for accuracy goes to the stock trigger. So now, next up, bill drill. We're gonna see what the speed of this new trigger is and see if we can beat that stock trigger. .68. So that is 2/10 of a second faster than the last drill with the stock trigger, but my first shot also was a ton faster, 0.76, maybe not a ton faster, but 0.76 compared to, I think it was 0.88, I believe. It looks like, you know, still most of them in the A zone. I don't know which shots are which. It's the same target up there, but not bad. Let's got 6 more. Let's see if we can do it even a touch faster. .55 every time, just getting faster and faster. That one was a little bit sloppier of a group. Looks like I have, you know, 2 that are pretty far left in the B zone, but 1.55 first shot and 0.57 split 0.18. I tell you what, like I'm happy with the trigger, and I'm super happy with this shot timer right here too. This is my first time ever shooting with it, and it's just cool to, I guess, I mean literally, and using it 4 times to see just the progression that I've had, and you know, actually being able to track it and have some data to see rather than just feel. So far this is super cool. Everything's laid out very clear as well. You can see the number of shots and then the different times as well. And it's super simple to use once I figured it out. But yeah, trigger is super light, very crisp. I would say, you know, it's probably in that 3.5 pound range. I don't have a trigger gauge, unfortunately, but the feeling is 10 times better than that stock trigger. So I'm happy with it. I'm pleased with it. You know, this gun right here is not, you know, the purpose for me is not to, you know, be a precision rifle, to not be the most accurate when it comes to tiny group size. It's more for, you know, just shooting drills like this and having fun with it, and of course looking cool is always important. So I'm pretty pleased with it. And one thing I noticed when I was looking for triggers to buy is there's just so many options out there for drop-in triggers. And there's, you know, some that are $100, maybe even a touch less, and then there's, you know, they go up to, I don't know, I was looking at some that were $300, maybe even more than that, I can't remember, but, you know, a lot in that $250 mark. And I didn't really want to spend that much. Kind of $140 to $150 was the most that I was looking to spend. So for that money, I don't think you can go wrong with this. It's very easy to install. It looks super good. It looks like it's built pretty well, and it's very crisp. So if you're in the market for a trigger upgrade, I would check that out. And if you're interested in more videos like this, make sure to subscribe.